let's take a look at the MChart Pro external data feature. To put it in context, the default way to enter data into MChart is very straightforward. You begin by adding a new chart. In this example, I've already created one and given it a title. From there, you'll see a spreadsheet interface where you can start entering data. For this example, I have two countries, Canada and the United States, along with the dates 2010 through 2012. Now, let's enter some sample values. We'll use 5, 7, and 3, then 8, 7, and 4. Once that data is entered, I can scroll down and see it graphed on the chart below. Of course, this is a small data set, so it looks fairly simple. That's the traditional approach. However, there are many situations where you may want to pull data from another source. For example, you might already have the data on another server or service, and that data may already be maintained by other people. Rather than having someone enter the data here manually, or needing to import a CSV file, you may want to pull it in automatically at a set interval so it stays up to date. That's exactly what the external data feature allows. For this example, we'll use a Google Sheet that already contains some data relevant to this chart. Before we show how that works though, let's open the settings panel for MChart and point out something important, especially when working with Google Sheets. In the external data section of the settings, you'll see both the default cache period, which controls how long MChart waits between refreshes of external data, and a service account field. We've already configured this, but a service account is essentially an email address that you can share your Google Sheets with. Once a Google Sheet is shared with that email address, MChart Pro can access that sheet even when it's private and can access every tab in the sheet. By default, Google Sheets will only allow you to pull data from the first tab, and only from a sheet that has been publicly shared through its URL. If you want to keep the sheet private or pull data from a tab other than the first one in your Google Sheet, this step is necessary. So while it isn't required, this is the best option if you want full functionality and better security. There's a page in the documentation that explains the setup process in detail. Now we're back in our chart. We're going to click the Use External Data toggle at the top, and you'll see the UI appear below. In this case, Google Sheets is already selected by default, and that's the source we want to use. If you click on Source, you can see the other options. It's worth noting that both of the MySQL options are recent additions to MChart Pro at the time we're recording this demo. However, for this demo, we'll stay with Google Sheets. The interface is straightforward. I can paste a Google Sheets URL into the field, and as soon as MChart detects the URL, it attempts to sync with it. As you can see, the sync succeeded, and it pulled the data directly into the spreadsheet interface below. When using external data, the spreadsheet interface is strictly for displaying the synced data and does not allow editing. Once the data has been successfully synced with the external source, it is stored in your WordPress database. That stored data will not be changed again until another sync completes successfully. So if something goes wrong upstream, such as the spreadsheet being deleted or the credentials changing, the sync may fail, but the existing data will remain intact. That means your charts will continue to work regardless of the status of that external connection. It will also track those failures, and after 3 failures, it will begin alerting you inside of the admin panel so you know there is a problem. And now we can see the live preview rendering with our external data. However, none of this is finalized until we save the draft or publish the chart. Once we click Save, everything is set up, and the syncs will now run in the background as specified in the settings. In this case, the next refresh will happen in 1 day. If someone updates that Google Sheet and the sync period passes, the chart should sync again and pull in the new data. To show you what that looks like, we're going to simulate it. I'm going to add a 2024 set of data with some placeholder numbers, and then we'll click Sync Now to pull that updated data in. We now have a 2024 column in the data, and it looks like things are not going well for cucumber yields in 2024. As you just saw, the Sync Now button lets you trigger a manual sync. However, a sync also happens automatically anytime you change the URL. You can also see that MChart detected multiple tabs in this sheet and selected the first one by default. In this case, that's the tab we want, but if it weren't, we could simply choose a different tab, and MChart would sync against that one instead. If you hover over the icon to the right of the Sync Now button, you'll also see status information. Here, the sync was successful, so it shows when that successful sync occurred. If there was an error during the last attempted sync, you'll see an error icon along with a message indicating how or why the sync failed. That information can help you troubleshoot what went wrong. Hopefully, this gives you a clear sense of the usefulness and power of this feature, and how it can help you keep your charts up to date and relevant without duplicating your data entry efforts.